Welcome you all. I welcome you in our today's topic, that is backtracking search for CSPs, that is constraint satisfaction problems. In our last video we have seen the Sudoku problem. The Sudoku problems are designed to be solved by inference over constraints. But many other CSPs cannot be solved by inference alone. There comes a time when we must search for a solution. In this section, we look at backtracking search algorithms that work on partial assignments. We could apply a standard depth limited search. A state would be a partial assignment and an action would be adding var is equal to value to the assignment. But for a CSP with n variables of domain size d, we quickly notice something terrible. The branching factor at the top level is nd because any of d values can be assigned to any of n variables. At the next level, the branching factor is n minus 1 d and so on for n levels. We generate a tree with n factorial into d raised to n leaves, even though there are only dn possible complete assignments. Our seemingly reasonable but naive formulation ignores crucial property common to all CSPs, that is commutativity. A problem is commutative if the order of application of any given set of actions has no effect on the outcome. CSPs are commutative because when assigning values to variables, we reach the same partial assignment regardless of orders. Therefore, we need only consider a single variable at each node in the search tree. For example, at the root node of a search tree for coloring the map of Australia, we might make a choice between SA is equal to red, SA is equal to green and SA is equal to blue. But we would never choose between SA is equal to red and WA is equal to blue. With this restriction, the number of leaves is dn as we would hope. So here figure 1 shows a simple backtracking algorithm for constraint satisfaction problems. The algorithm is modeled on the recursive depth first search that we have already seen. By varying the functions select unassigned variable and order domain values, we can implement the general purpose heuristics discussed in the text. The function inference can optionally be used to impose arc path or k consistency as desired. The arc consistency, path consistency and k consistency we have seen in our previous videos. If a value choice leads to failure noticed either by inference or by backtrack, then value assignments, including those made by inference, are removed from the current assignment and a new value is tried. The term backtracking is used for a depth first search that chooses values for one variable at a time and backtracks when a variable has no legal values left to assign. The algorithm is shown in figure 1. It repeatedly chooses an unassigned variable and then tries all values in the domain of that variable in turn, trying to find a solution. If an inconsistency is detected, then backtrack returns failure. causing the previous call to try another value. Part of the search tree for an Australia problem is shown in figure 2, where we have assigned variables in the order WA, NT, Q and so on, because the representation of CSPs is unstandardized. There is no need to supply backtracking search with a domain-specific initial state, action function, transition model or goal test. Notice that backtracking search keeps only a single representation of a state and alters that representation rather than creating new ones. Here the figure shows part of search tree for the map coloring problem. So here WA is equal to red, WA is equal to green and WA is equal to blue is assigned. Then for WA is equal to red, we have two different nodes, WA is equal to red, NT is equal to green, while WA is equal to red, NT is equal to blue. In a similar manner, for the first node, again there are two different subnodes, that is WA is equal to red, NT is equal to green and Q is equal to red. The another node is WA is equal to red, NT is equal to green and Q is equal to blue. So this follows further. The poor performance is uninformed search algorithm is improved by supplying them with domain-specific heuristic functions derived from our knowledge of the problem. It turns out that we can solve CSPs efficiently without such domain-specific knowledge. Instead, we can add some sophistication to the unspecified function which is shown in the figure 1, using them to address the following questions. So what are those questions here? Which variable should be assigned next? That is, select unassigned variable, and in what order should its value be tried? It is order domain values. The next question is, what inferences should be performed at each step in the search? And the next is, when the search arrives at an assignment that violates a constraint, can the search avoid repeating this failure? What are the variable and value order? The backtracking algorithm contains the line var tends to select an assigned variable CSP. The simplest strategy for select an assigned variable is to choose the next unassigned variable in order x1, x2 and so on. The static variable ordering seldom results in the most efficient search. For example, after the assignments for W is equal to red and NT is equal to green in figure number 2, there is only one possible value for SA, so it makes sense to assign SA is equal to blue next rather than assigning Q. In fact, after SA is assigned, the choices for Q, NSW and V are all forced. This institute idea choosing the variable with the fewest legal values is called the minimum remaining values heuristic, that is MRV heuristic. It also has been called the most constrained variable or failed trust heuristic. The latter because it picks a variable that is most likely to cause a failure soon, thereby pruning the search tree. In some variable x has no legal values left, the MRV heuristic will select x and failure will be detected immediately, avoiding pointless searches through other variables. The MRV heuristic usually performs better than a random or static ordering, sometimes by a factor of 1000 or more, although the results vary widely depending on the problem. The MRV heuristic doesn't help at all in choosing the first region to color in Australia because initially every region has 3 legal colors. In this case, the degree heuristic comes in handy. It attempts to reduce the branching factor on failure choices by selecting the variable that is involved in the largest number of constraints on other unassigned variables. So here SA is the variable with highest degree, that is 5. The other variables have degree 2 or 3 except for T, which has degree 0. In fact, once SA chosen, applying the degree heuristic solves the problem without any false steps. Once a variable has been selected, the algorithm must decide, examine its values. For this, the least constraining value heuristic can be effective in some and the order in which 2 cases. It prefers the value that rules out the fewest choices for the neighboring values in the constraint graph. For example, we have generated the partial assignment with W is equal to red and NT is equal to green. That our next choice is for Q. Blue would be a bad choice because it eliminates the most legal value left for Q's neighbor, it is Sn. The least constraining value heuristic therefore prefers red to blue. In general, the heuristic is trying to leave the maximum flexibility for subsequent variable assignments. Of course, if we are trying to find all the solution to a problem, not just first one, then the ordering does not matter because we have to consider every value anyway. The same holds if there are no solutions to the problem. Why should variable selection be fail first but value selection be fail last? It turns out that for a wide variety of problems, a variable ordering that chooses a variable with the minimum number of remaining values helps minimizing the number of nodes in the search tree by pruning larger part of the tree earlier. For values ordering, the trick is that we only need one solution. Therefore, it makes sense to look for the most likely values first. If we wanted to enumerate all solutions rather than just find one, then value ordering would be irrelevant. Interleaving search and inference. So far, we have seen how AC3 and other algorithms can infer reductions in the domain of variables before we begin the search. But inference can be even more powerful in the course of a search. Every time we make a choice of a value for a variable, we have a brand new opportunity to infer new domain reductions on the neighboring variable. So far, we have seen how AC3 and other algorithms can infer reductions in the domain of variables before we begin the search. But inference can be even more powerful in the course of a search every time we make a choice of a value for the variable. We have a brand new opportunity to infer new domain reduction on the neighboring values. Interleaving search and inference. One of the simplest forms of inference is called as the forward checking. Whenever a variable x is assigned, the forward checking process establishes arc consistency for it. For each unassigned variable y that is connected to x by a constraint delete from y's domain, any value that is consistent with the value chosen for x. Because forward tracking only does arc consistency inference, there is no reason to do forward tracking if we have already done arc consistency as a pre-processing step. So figure here shows the process of a map coloring search with forward checking. So WA is equal to red is assigned first, and the forward checking deletes red from the domains of the neighboring variables NT and SA. After Q is equal to green is assigned, green is deleted from the domains of NT, SA and NSW. So after V is equal to blue is assigned, blue is deleted from the domains of NSW and SA, leaving SA with no legal values. Figure here shows the process of backtracking search on the Australia CSP with forward checking. There are two important points to notice about this example. First, notice that after W is equal to red and Q is equal to green are assigned, the domains of NT and SA are reduced to a single value. So we have eliminated branching on these variables altogether by propagating information from WA and Q. A second point to notice is that after V is equal to blue, the domain of SA is empty. Hence, forward checking has deleted that the partial assignment W is equal to red, Q is equal to green and V is equal to blue is inconsistent with the constraints of the problem, and the algorithm will therefore backtrack immediately. For many problems, the search will be more effective if we combine the MRB heuristic with forward checking. Consider figure 3 after assigning WA is equal to red. So here it seems that assignment constraints its neighbors NT and SA, so we should handle those variables next, and then all the other variables will fall into place. So that's exactly what happens with MRV. NT and SA have two values, so one of them is chosen first, then the other, then Q, NSW and V in order. Now finally it still has three values and any one of them works. So we can view forward checking as an efficient way to incrementally compute the information that the MRV heuristic needs to do its job. Although forward checking detects many inconsistencies, it does not detect all of them. The problem is that it makes the current variable arc consistent, but doesn't look ahead and make all the other variables arc consistent. For example, consider the third row of the figure number 3. It shows that when WA is red and Q is green, both NT and SA are forced to be blue. Forward checking does not look for enough ahead to notice that this is an inconsistency. NT and SA are adjacent and so cannot have the same value. The algorithm called MAC for maintaining arc consistency, MAC detects this consistency. After a variable xi is assigned a value, the inference procedure calls AC3. But instead of a queue of all arcs in the CSP, we start with only the arcs xj xi for all xj that are unassigned variables that are neighbors of xi. So from there, AC3 does constraint propagation in the usual way, and if any variable has its domain reduced to the empty set, the call to AC3 fails and we know the backtrack immediately. So we can see that MAC is strictly more powerful than forward checking because forward checking does the same thing as MAC on the initial arcs in MAC's queue. But unlike MAC, forward checking does not recursively propagate constraints when changes are made to the domains of variables. So intelligent backtracking, that is looking backward. The backtracking search algorithm in figure number 1 has a very simple policy for that to do when a branch of the search fails. Back up to the preceding variable and try a different value for it. This is called the chronological backtracking because the most recent decision point is revisited. In this subsection, we consider better possibilities. Now consider here that what happens when we apply simple backtracking with a fixed variable ordering Q, NSW, V, T, SA, WA and NT. Suppose we have generated a partial assignment Q is equal to red, NSW is equal to green, V is equal to blue and T is equal to red. When we say or when we try the next variable SA, we see that every value violates a constraint. We back up to T and try a new color for Tasmania. A more intelligent approach to backtracking is to backtrack to a variable that might fix the problem. A variable that was responsible for making one of the possible values of SA impossible. To do this, we will keep track of a set of assignments that are in conflict with the sum value of SA. The set in this case Q is equal to red, NSW is equal to green and V is equal to blue is called the conflict set of SA. The backjumping method backtracks to the most recent assignment in the conflict set. In this case, backjumping would jump over Tasmania and try a new value for V. This method is easily implemented by modification to backtrack, such that it accumulates the conflict set while checking for a legal value to assign. If no legal value is found, the algorithm should return the most recent element of the conflict set along with the failure indicator. The sharp-eyed reader will have noticed that the forward checking can supply the conflict set with no extra work. So whenever forward tracking based on an assignment x is equal to x deleted a value from y's domain, it should add x is equal to x to y's conflict set. If the last value is deleted from y's domain, then the assignments in the conflict set of y are added to the conflict set of x. Then when we get to y, we know immediately where to backtrack if needed. The eagle-eyed reader will have noticed something odd. Backjumping occurs when every value in a domain is in conflict with the current assignment, but forward checking detects this event and prevents the search from ever reaching such a node. In fact, it can be shown that every branch pruned by backjumping is also pruned by forward checking. So hence, simple backjumping is redundant in a forward checking search or indeed in a search that uses stronger consistency checking such as MAC. Despite the observations of the preceding paragraph, the idea behind backjumping remains a good one. To backtrack based on the reasons for failure. A backjumping notices failure when a variable's domain becomes empty. But in many cases, a branch is doomed long before this occurs. Now consider again the partial assignment. WA is equal to red, NSW is equal to red, which from our earlier discussion is inconsistent. Suppose we try t is equal to red next and then assign nt, q, v, sa. We know that no assignment can work for these last few variables, so eventually we run out of values to try to add nt. Now the question is where to backtrack. Backjumping cannot work because nt does have values consistent with the preceding assigned values or variables. Nt doesn't have a complete conflict set of preceding variables that caused it to fail. We know, however, that the four variables nt, q, v and sa taken together failed because of a set of preceding variables, which must be those variables that directly conflict with the four. This leads to a deeper notion of the conflict set for a variable such as nt. It is that set of preceding variables that caused nt together with any subsequent variables to have no consistent solution. So in this case, the set of WA and NSW, so the algorithm should backtrack to NSW and skip over Tasmania. A backjumping algorithm that uses conflict sets defined in this way is called conflict-directed backjumping. We must now explain how these new conflict sets are computed. The method is in fact quite simple. The terminal failure of a branch of the search always occurs because a variable's domain becomes empty. That variable has a standard conflict set. In our example, SFS and its conflict set is, say, WA, NT and Q. We backjump to Q and Q observes the conflict set from SA minus Q itself, of course, into its own direct conflict set, which is NT NSW. The new conflict set is WA NT NSW. That is, there is no solution from Q onward given the preceding assignment to WA NT NSW. Therefore, we backtrack to NT, the most recent of these. NT absorbs the WA, NT and NSW to NT into its own direct conflict set WA, giving WA NSW as stated in the previous paragraph. Now, the algorithm backjumps to NSW as we would hope. To summarize, let xj be the current variable and let the conf xj be its conflict set. If every possible value for xj fails, backjump to the most recent variable xi in conf xj and set conf xi, conf xj union conf xj minus xi. When we reach a contradiction, backjumping can tell us how far to back up, so we don't waste time changing variables that doesn't or won't fix the problem. But we would also like to avoid running into the same problem again. When the search arrives at a contradiction, we know that some subset of the conflict set is responsible for the problem. The constraint learning is the idea of finding the minimum set of variables from the conflict set that causes the problem. This set of variables along with their corresponding values is called the no good. We then record the no good either by adding a new constraint to the CSP or by keeping a separate cache of no goods. For example, consider the state WA is equal to red, NT is equal to green and Q is equal to blue in the bottom row of figure number 2. The forward checking can tell us with this state is a no good because there is no valid assignment to SA. In this particular case, recording the no good would not help because once we prune this branch from the search tree, we will never encounter this combination again. But suppose that the search tree in figure number 2 were actually part of a larger search tree that started by first assigning values for V and T, then it would be worthwhile to record W is equal to red, NT is equal to green and Q is equal to blue as a no good, because we are going to run into some problem again for each possible set of assignments to V and T. So no goods can be effectively used by forward checking or by back jumping. The constraint learning is one of the most important technique used by modern CSP solver to achieve efficiency on complex problems. I hope this session will be helpful for you for your further studies. Thank you.